And so, Justin Trudeau's just transition begins. The Liberal government is not calling it that, of course. When Natural Resources Minister Jonathan Wilkinson introduced Bill C-50, he called it the Canadian Sustainable Jobs Act. But don't be fooled by the bait-and-switch messaging. The legislation Minister Wilkinson announced today, that's already passed first reading in the House of Commons, is part of the Liberal plan to replace Alberta's hydrocarbon economy with some kind of green fantasy economy. A year ago, they called it the just transition. Oddly enough, a phrase coined some time before by Alberta's own NDP. It became notorious when ministerial briefing notes came to light in which some decidedly unjust outcomes were conceded. Will workers need to focus on reskilling or upskilling to adapt to a new labour market following the transition to a low-carbon economy, said the memo? Key messages on just transition. It answered its own question. Some green jobs will not require workers with green skills to perform their jobs. That is, janitors or drivers working for a solar energy company. There you go. Janitors and truckers. Energy workers can earn six-figure salaries. Janitors, not so much. No surprise that Ottawa decided to rebrand that. But this is the package. Or at least, it's part of it. According to Natural Resources Canada, the minister had this morning, with his legislation, Bill C-50, advanced just one of the 10 key action areas outlined in the government's interim Sustainable Jobs Plan, announced earlier this year. There's lots of big names. This bill provides for an advisory body, 5 years plan, Sustainable Jobs Secretariat, all that sort of thing. There are 9 more key action areas to go. Point to note, the legislation is national in scope, but Alberta and Saskatchewan, and Newfoundland, by the way, being oil and gas producing provinces, will bear the brunt. Not too many Liberal seats to lose out west, so not so hard. The ministerial release also adds to the tissue of lies emanating from Ottawa this week with these 2 chestnuts. Chestnut 1, Canada is extremely well positioned to take advantage of the economic opportunities presented by the global race to net zero. Folks, there is no global race to net zero. This is a Justin Trudeau fascination, pure and simple. In China and India, they're building more coal-fired generating plants in a year than we've had in the history of Canada. Chestnut 2. The Liberals claim they've been working on making Canada the clean energy and technology supplier of choice in a net zero world. Sure, try and buy a solar panel that's made in Canada. There's not much to choose from. Ditto wind power generators. Look, in her victory speech, Premier Danielle Smith offered her government's broad support to the federal government's emission reduction goals. But she says no to the latest Trudeau fatuity of capping emissions or achieving a net zero electrical grid in Alberta by 2035. In her warning to Ottawa, she said, as Premier, I cannot allow these contemplated federal policies to be inflicted upon Albertans. I simply can't, and I won't. Amen and amen. It was well said. Now, may it be well done. She has the Sovereignty Act. I believe she is ready to use it. For the Western Standard, I'm Nigel Hannaford.
Canadian Shooting Sports Association. Without the CSSA, our gun rights would have been taken long ago. These guys are on the front lines helping to draft smart and intelligent firearms regulations and legislation in Canada, and more importantly, educating the public about how we keep guns out of the hands of the wrong people. We've become a member. It's absolutely worth every penny.